Thank you for joining me. My name is Lynette, and I want to talk about abacus. What is an abacus? Well, it's that thing over there. I do have a teacher's abacus. This is a teacher's abacus, and what does it do? It helps children count. And so, what we're going to do is we're going to understand how to read the abacus. Abacus is the gateway to more complex math. I'm going to trademark that. That I'm going to deem that as one of my slogans. Abacus is the gateway to complex math. Now, why? Why? Because, well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to read the abacus. So this is my abacus. This is my teacher's abacus. And on the teacher's abacus, I'm able to move this marker. This marker moves because I want to be able to signify which is the ones column. So when I look at this abacus and I figure out that this is my ones column, why are we doing ones column? Because that's when we're starting to count. When we count, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that all of the beads is touching the beam. So when this is the beam, this is the horizontal bar that it touches. So when the beads on the abacus are touching this beam that's in the middle, this is what's being counted. So as we count the beads, as we look at it, we notice that all of this has a value of 4. Now notice there's no more beads at the bottom. How do we do 5? Well, that is where the top bead comes into play. This top bead has a value of 5. And so let me know if you have any comments or questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. So we're continuing to count. So when we count, this is 5. And now, because we know that this is a value of 1, now we go into 6. We have 5, 6. The interesting thing about abacus is that it introduces children to count on. Now, counting on is actually a kindergarten skill that happens where the idea is not to count from 1, but to count from a different number. We can count from any other number, but in abacus, we introduce the idea of counting on. We have 5, we have 6, and then there is 7. And then we have 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me know if you have any questions. And then we have 9. Now, what do we do after 9? This is where we start talking about place value. In place value, we have 1 and then 0. This would be 10. When we talk about, we have this is 1 or this is 1. But when we consider our place value, this is 10. This is 1, but when we consider our place value, this is 100. We have 2, 20, 200. That is counting on the abacus. If there's any other questions, let me know. So we're going to transition to my student's abacus. So the student's abacus is a little bit smaller, and with the student's abacus, I actually don't hold it vertical. I want to be able to lie it down flat on a table. Now, I wanted to show what a student's abacus is because it's easy for the students to look at and to maneuver around, right? They can put it in their backpack and so forth. You can't put a teacher's abacus because it's a little big. So this is a student abacus. If you notice, we have dots. There's a dot here, and then there's a dot here. It's a label. So the label goes whether or not we want to start here or we want to start here. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to put it on a table and lie it down flat. And then after that, we will start counting on the student's abacus. Here is my student's abacus. This is my book that I have to start off children who do not know their numbers. But what I do in this book is talk about number recognition, like 1, 2, 3, 4. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start counting on the student's abacus. I'm going to figure out what dot I want to use. The dot is meant for labeling. So when we start counting, I want to start here because I will have a bigger number. You could start here on this dot, but then your number will be smaller because this will be now the decimals. When we continue to count, we do 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice I have my right hand doing the calculation because there's a left brain. The left brain hemisphere actually does the calculation. And my left hand holds the abacus because if I don't hold the abacus, it will if the abacus moves, then I just lost my answer because the beads are very quick to do things. They're very loose and very easy to maneuver. You can follow me on Learning with Lynette, or you can buy my book, a link to my books. We start at 0, and then we have 1. So this is 1, and then this is 1. We have 2, this is 2, and then this is 2. I'm making sure that I start on the dot because let's say we walk away, we come back, and we don't remember where we started. That's why we have the dot. If I wanted to go get a drink of water, I won't know if this was a 2 or a 20 if it's not labeled. So that's why it's nice that we have a dot to label where the ones place is. So then we have 3. So there's 3, 1, 2, 3. All the lower beads because there's still a beam. There's still a horizontal bar that we use to count. So this horizontal bar and this horizontal bar are the same. And then we have 4. Notice there's all the beads are touching the beam. So it's easy to see that all the beads are 4. We know that we can supertize. That comes into understanding what supertizing is. Noticing what the numbers are without even counting. So on the abacus, it's easy to see that all of these is 4. In school, students are taught with a die to learn how to supertize, which is interesting. So we know what this is 1, and then we have 2. So they do a comparison between the number and the die. So in school, we're already learning and using a manipulative. We can extend this to an abacus, and it's a little bit easier. With the 5, it looks like this, the top bead. Notice that none of the bottom beads are touching the beam. Because the bottom beads are not touching the beam, this is considered 5. On the die, we know that this is 5. We don't need to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have our 5, and there's our symbol 5. The numbers are symbols, just like the alphabet is a symbol. Every letter is a symbol. Notice, though, that each letter by itself doesn't really make a lot of sense. However, if you put if you put the letters together, to make something mean anything, you have to put it in a word. Whereas on the math in counting with the numbers itself already has a weighted information like 5. So we have 5 of something. We have 5 pens. We have 5 dots on the die. So the numbers and the symbols are similar, but again, don't forget they're symbols. So we're trying to relate the symbol, the number 5, with either the dots or the bead. So on the abacus, we have 5, and then we do 6. Notice on the die, we have 6. We can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can split it between 3 and 3. It's easier to see. On the abacus, we know that we have the 5 and we have the 6. We have the one bead on top and one bead on the bottom. They're touching this beam. And so then from here, we're able to supertize that this is 6. Now, the difference between a die and a abacus is that a die cannot go higher than 6 because there's only 6 sides. Whereas on the abacus, we have 7. And depending on how big your abacus is, it can go a lot further. As your child becomes older, they can actually utilize the abacus further along. We are still talking about adding, subtracting, multiplication, and division. Let me know if you have any comments or questions. I think there's a comment. And oh, hi, Alyssa. Oh, yes. I will explain. I will explain the 5 formula when you do the math problem. So we're going to continue on doing 5 plus 5 and then the 8 plus 5 on the abacus. Position does matter when it comes to the abacus. Yes. So we're going to continue on with counting. Should we? Okay, let's me continue on with counting and I'll get to your question. So we have our 7, and then we have, oh, there's 7, and then we have 8. So we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then we have 9, and then we have 10. Again, we have our place value, 10. All right, so the question is, can you explain how your 5 friends formula when you do a math problem such as 8 plus 5? Interesting about 8 plus 5 is that 5 is not a friends. It's actually part of the family. It's part of the plus 10 formula. So when we do the 5, we're actually talking about the plus 10. So here we start talking about when we want to add the 5. We know that the pair of 5 is 5 plus 5 is equal to 10. Now, how does that work with the abacus? Well, when I use my abacus, let me see if I can get that better. When I use my abacus, and the question is 8, can we use the 5? No, we cannot use the 5. This is where we start going into the 10 frame. So when we add the 5, what we need to do is we need to start figuring out, and one of the things is to isolate the variable. 5 plus 5 is equal to 10. Now, as talking to an adult, what we're going to do is we're going to isolate this variable, which is also a terminology that we use in algebra. So we're going to do is we're going to isolate this variable. In order to isolate this variable, we will take this 5 and we're going to make it equal. Notice that with the equal sign, it doesn't balance. What we need to do is we need to take away the 5. Now, how does that work with the abacus? Well, our original question is 8, right? And then we wanted to do is one want to add the 5. To do that, notice we cannot add a 5. We need to find and we need to ask, can we add the 10? So when we add the 10, this is where we want to add the 10, but notice the 10 conceptually is too much. So we need to take away the 5. So we add the 10 and we take away the 5. So that was where we talk about here. We want to learn how to utilize the 10 frame. That's why I drew out the 10 frame. In school, we are teaching children how to use the 10 frame, right? How do I do that? Well, if I color in 5 squares, how many other squares are left? So this is why in school we teach the children what the 10 frame is. And in abacus we utilize it. And that's how we do it. And we're going to utilize the 10. I hope that makes sense. We can continue on with the question. So here is another sample question. Let's do 9. And again, we have our 9, and the question is, can we use a 5? No, we can't use the 5. So the next thing we need to do is understand how to use the 10. So can we use the 10? Well, yes, we can. What is the 10 formula? To add the 5, the formula is plus the 5 equals to plus the 10 minus the 5. This is the formula that we're going to use. Plus the 5 is equal to plus the 10 minus 5. So we're here. If we add the 9, we have to plus the 10 and then minus the 5. In this book, what I'm using is called the asteroid belt. And I was trying to make it interesting for the children to understand that if I needed to go to the asteroid belt, this is the asteroid belt. I go to the asteroid belt, but then we have to remove 5 of the asteroids. And I hope that helps. Uh, so how do you do the reverse 5 minus 8? Okay, so now the question is 5 minus 8. Now we're going into something a little bit more complicated, such as a two-step equation. The two-step equation is interesting. The first thing we're going to understand is what's the family of 8? In this book, we're talking about the plus 8. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add the 5. All right. So now it gets a little complicated. This is a two-step problem, a two-step equation. So let's see if we can track this. So now I want to add the 8. The question is, I want to add the 8. I don't have the question in this book. The reason why is because now we're doing two-step. When we do the plus 10, we do one step, and then the next book will be two-step. So going back to here, understanding what the two-step is. When we add the 8, what do we do? Our family of 8 is 8 plus 2 is equal to 10. So that is when we start with the 8. Let's see if I could do that. So we have 8 plus 2 is equal to 10. That is our 10 frame. Now we know that our pair is 2. We take this 2 and we move it to this side. So now we have 8 is equal to 10 minus 2. This is something that we're going to have to remember, right? So once we memorize that 8 plus 2, 8 plus the 10 is minus the 2. So we start off with the question 5. Now notice we don't have any more beads to add the 5. What we're going to do is we're going to use the 10. We have the plus 8 is equal to plus the 10 minus the 2. We're going to plus the 10. That's the idea. Plus the 10. Now we need to take away the 2. Depending on how solid your student, your child is with the plus 5 or the minus 5, they will be easy to change the minus 2. So now we have a minus 2 that we have to do. Can I take away the 2? So no, we cannot take away the 2. This is where our two-step equation comes into effect. What is the another way to minus the 2? To minus the 2 is to minus the 5. And if we remember our friends formula, anything that's 2, who is the friend of 2? The friend of 2 is 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to take away the 5 and then we're going to plus the 3. We're going to take away the 5 and then plus the 3. So this is why this specific question is the next uh, phase of learning how to do the adding and subtracting. So now we start going into a two-step. This is what comes in when we have our addition table, right? So our addition table in school, we're just given an addition table and it's fine, right? But in Abacus, if you look at it, there's actually a system behind it. There's a framework. The first thing we do, which is the preschool book or learning the introduction to learning abacus, right? The introduction to learning abacus, what we do is we do the simple addition, right? Simple addition and simple subtraction. Simple addition and simple subtraction. What does that mean? That means that there's no formulas involved. The next step, what you will notice is there's going to be the plus 5. So the plus 5 is where we start talking about when we want to add the 4 or when we want to add the 3, when we want to add the 2. So that's why it's different if you start combining the two from regular mainstream school to what we're doing in Abacus. Some of the questions don't connect. That's why you have to be careful with questions when you start using the Abacus. Don't I wouldn't test your child just yet until they actually understand the two-step. So in explaining what the addition formula, the addition table. So again, we're talking about the plus 5. That's where this book comes in. Then the next book would be the plus 10s. That's the next phase. The next phase is the plus 10, and that's what this means. That means that if there's not enough beads to add the 4, then what we're going to do is we're going to, use the 10 frame, use the 10. So we're going to go to the abacus and use the 10 column. That's why this is yellow. And then what I just did with the 8 plus 5 plus 8, 5 plus 8 is actually the two-step. So this is the two-step equation. We do the 10 and then we minus the 5. So we add the 10 and minus the 5. So we can do this we did it for the 8. We can do it for a 6 and 8. What does that mean? So we add the 6 and we have to plus the 8. Notice I want to plus the 10, but I need to take away the 2. So if I take away the 2, there's not enough beads to take away the 2. What's another way? Well, I can utilize this 5. That's why there's a framework, and if you start jumping ahead, your child might get confused. That's why there's a path. There's a path to learn certain things. So we have minus the 2. So in order to minus the 2, I want to take away the 5 and then add the 3. So my answer is 14. I hope that helps. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments. Do you show the two-step? No. Do I show the two-step in the book? No, that's the next book because I didn't want to confuse the children because this is a lot the plus 10s is a lot of numbers. I didn't want to confuse the children with the two-step just yet. It's the next book and start talking about the two-step. And because we need to solidify the plus 5 and the minus 5. So that again, because if you look, the plus 10 book is already about 80 pages, 80 plus pages, and it has activities and so forth. So with this, I didn't want to add more to it because I wanted to make sure that the idea that they're solid in their understanding what the plus 10s are. So one thing is to one thing is to introduce it, another thing is to confuse and overwhelm children. So that's why my books are broken up into the um, simple adding and subtracting, and then the +5 adding, and then the -5 adding, and the +10 adding, -10 adding, and then the two-step. And the two-step will be in its separate book. And again, because in that it will have the plus the 5, or plus the two-step, and then the minus. So we got to separate. I wanted to separate them so then there's more of a category and it makes sense for the children as they go through the problems. So we have the two-step in subtraction. So notice, I mean, the numbers are different. The numbers are difficult. And so I didn't want to confuse the children. I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any more questions. But yeah, that was the thing. So in the two-step, I would do it in a separate book. My son is starting with the uh, equals 5 book. Does he need the preschool to show some subtraction? In the course, in the class, you should already be doing in the classes that you have, it's already there. So you should have in my class the previous, it's already there in the previous lessons. So we actually do taking away the stuff, taking away the numbers. So at the end we have the -5, and then we have and this is already in the class. So we have the -6. So he should understand how to do the subtraction. In school, I know that kindergarten they don't teach subtraction later, but in Abacus we actually teach it as a balance. So if you know how to add, you will know how to subtract. So in the class, he should be going into when we add the 4, we're going to be taking away the 4, and those are the activities that's inside the class. So if you look further down, you'll see, so if he's adding the 5, right? Once he finishes adding the 5, right, which is the finger down, he will know how to minus the 5. The next thing is when he finishes the lessons, the last lesson is minus 9. Once he understands -9, that's when he starts to go into, that should already be in the class that you're a part of. And then that's where this will come into effect. So this one was broken up into, and I have the videos where we start talking about the number lines. So how to make a 5, the idea is to understand how to make a 5. And there's um sorry, an explanation about adding the cat family, the tree, the cats in the tree. So the first thing since he's continuing on, have them know, when I color in the cats into two different colors. So when they starts going into doing the adding of the 5, he will see that there's the one cat, right? If I color in one cat, he needs to remember that there's 4, because that's when we start relating it to the abacus. That's when we start relating it to the abacus. When he remembers that 1 and 4 is a pair. So you can use it in multiple ways. If you have blocks, right? I have it where there's a bracelet. You could do it as a block. So if he forgets that 1 and 4 is a pair, if he goes through understanding the number bonds in school, the reason why there's a number bond is because in school we also teach about number bonds, right? So then we start talking about the +4. The easiest one is to add the 4. So when he adds the 4, right, we have 1 and we want to plus the 4. Now this is where the story comes in. Is there enough beats to add the 4? No, there's not enough beats to add the 4. So what we need to do is we need to go to the cats in the tree. So if I go to the cats in the tree, I add the 5 here, but one cat runs away because I grabbed 4 cats and one cat runs away. So I added a little story behind it, so then hopefully he remembers. And again, and this is where we start breaking down. If I have a 2, I want 4. How many, is there enough beats to add 4? No. So I need to go to the cats in the tree. And the tree was to utilize and color in. And it was like addition to the bracelet that you made. So if he doesn't remember that 4, right, and 1. So the idea was color in the 4 cats, and then one cat runs away. and I explained this as well. Hopefully it made sense. So if I have the 2, I add the 5, which is the cats in the tree, and then I take away the 1 because one cat runs away. I hope that makes sense. And then again, we start going in, solidifying or reinforcing the concept of the plus 4. So when we talk about the addition, we have we start with the 4 because it's easier to relate, and then we do the 3, the 2, and the 1, and then there's activities to go with it, so then it's easier to understand. And all of these questions are based on those numbers because I wanted to make it more, I wanted to reinforce the concept. So we have, and then I believe the way I broke it up is into sections. So we have it where we do the plus 4, and then each page has the thing. So hopefully he's enjoying the activities, if that made sense. And I was trying to get it so then they would have fun with, playing with the numbers and understanding how to use the app. Thank you so much for joining, and I do appreciate the questions. But yeah, it's well, that's fantastic. He's 7 years old, so because he's 7, he should go by really quick. This should be easy. Um, uh, but again, I try to make it interactive. So here, in one of the lessons, we start off with, we start from the beat, the label here, and then in here we will figure out what the answer is. So when we look at it, we have 3, and then we want to add the 2. To add the 2, we have to plus the 5, right? Now, is there enough? No. This is where we need to go to the cats in the tree. So we go to the cats in the tree and we grab 2 cats, but 3 cats need to run away. So 3 cats run away, and then we add the 3. So that's what this is. So when he gets this solid, then there's the next one, which would be the minus 5. And again, the minus 5, in the class will look like, minus. So the questions would be something like this. 8. So the questions would be 8 minus 4. And then 8 minus 4. So if I have 8, right? I have 8, and I need to take away the 4. To take away the 4, I need to take away the 5. In that one, I did flowers in a pot. So you go to the flowers in the pot and you take away the 4, but you add the 1. Take away the 5 minus and add the 1. So my answer is 4. We don't learn our doubles. So, can you do the first problem on page? Oh, yeah. So, I did the tic tac toe. If you could play with your child, this would be the greatest thing. What it was it was supposed to be a game for, for 2 people. And so here is, you choose a number. You choose a square, right? So you choose a square, and the idea was you pick this square. I'm going to pick the square. I'm going to answer the question. I'm going to put my marker down. So all it is really just having them work, but in a tic-tac-toe form. So if I have the 1, I'm going to choose this one here, the bottom left, and then I want to add the 3, and then I want to add a 3 again. So can I add 3? No. Well, I have to go to the cats in the tree and and then 2 cats run away. And then I add 1. So my answer is 8. So I add 8 here and I put in X or O, right? And then the idea is the next person, you know, can choose, or he can try to play double person. So now if I want to do this one, so I'll put my X here, but I need to answer the question. So to answer the question is 1 plus 4 plus the 5 minus the 1 plus the 2, and then take away the 2. So my answer is 5. That's how the tic-tac-toe works. And so tic-tac-toe was trying to get 3 across. So I'm not sure if you know how to play tic-tac-toe. So if I'm just going to continue it on. So here's my next turn would be O's. So I'm going to use this one, right? So I have 4, and then plus the 4, plus the 5 minus the 1, take away the 1, and then add the 2. My answer is 9. So I have my 9 here. And then my X will go, right? So my X will go here. Okay, so X, I'm going to go here. So I have my 4, I have my 2 plus the 5 minus 3 minus the 6 and then plus the 2. So my answer is 2. Notice I'm going to be able to go here for my O's, and then I'll have 3 across. So my question is 1 and then plus the 3 plus the 4 plus the 5 minus 1 and then minus 3. So my answer is 5. So here I did 3 in a row. So I win. I hope that helps. But yeah, I thought this was kind of fun. Trying to get them to understand how to do tic-tac-toe. And that was one thing, like I noticed that some of my students, that I have didn't know how to play tic-tac-toe. So I was trying to bring in a little bit of trying to gamify it, making them to understand. I mean, you could do tic-tac-toe without the questions, but then it's not math. um, I'm so happy that he sounds like I hope he's enjoying the activities. But that was one of them, is just to try to get it to be uh, engaging. So, you have any other questions? Thank you so much for joining. I do appreciate this and to understand. So maybe I should rewrite the instructions. But that's what tic-tac-toe is. And that was the thing, is just to get them to do. I mean, he doesn't need to do all the questions. But I did do in the maze, you'll see that there's a maze. The maze, just a little tip for you. I try to make it where they go to every square. If they don't, then there's a typo and I gotta update it. Um, so So the question is, you are showing me steps. You are showing me the steps. That is what matters. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. And that was the thing, was trying to get to understand, like, and that's why I have open office hour, because I know sometimes things doesn't translate in writing and in email. So that's why I'm so happy that you're available to join me for office hour. I do try to be more I try to explain more through the thing. So I'm hoping that the color by number makes sense. And what it was is, here's the color key, and with the color key, he would have to answer the questions. The one student I had, he did. So I have another student, but and what he did was color by number. But what we were doing here was doing bead recognition, right? So it's the same thing with the answers. So answer the question, and then there should be an answer, and then it should match the numbers up top. So that's what this is. But yeah, the idea so that's why I was trying to be more. I was trying to explain more here, and then hopefully the videos help too. This one was the die, and what it was is getting the kids to cut the die. So you cut it, you make it into a die, which I don't have an example of, but you cut it and then you glue it, and then you roll the die. And the idea for putting in as a number bond. So you take one of the die, you take the number of the die. I didn't add the 6, if you notice. I made sure that it was no 6. So this is 1, this is 4, this is 2, 1, 4. Sorry, 2, 1, 4, and 3. And I made sure, and this was also to help bead recognition as well, just to solidify it. So when they roll the die, they take that number, let's say 1, they take that number and they put it here. Then they roll it again and they put the number, and then, no, they roll the die and then they have to write the friend. So if it's 1 here, it'll be 4 here to make a 5. And then that was the thing, is like, if they get 3, so it'll be 3 here, and then this will be 2. So that was the reason why I did the number bond, and that's why we had the die. There's 2 sets. This one has an extra 2 and a 3. This one has an extra 1 and a 4. So that's what this is. I do live classes as a different. Price point. And it would be once a week for 30 minutes, and I have it as, and it depends on schedule. So the classes I do have, it's about $200 a month, and that's what I do. I do the live classes, but you have my videos, you have on my online, you have my pre-recorded. You could go through those, because I also explain it in the videos as well. And that's why there's the videos, so you can go through it, and then you can download all of the worksheets. Yeah, so. And then, with the online classes, I do have office hours. So if you're stuck at any time, I'm here, and I do plan on being here more often. And so that makes sense. I will roll. That makes sense. I will roll the die for making the 5. Yes. And that was the one thing is, I wanted to make it affordable. That's why you have my pre-recorded videos. And so that's the reason why. Um, yeah, but I do, and then there should be there should be answer sheets in the back, and then there's the next one, which would be the -5. So right now he's doing the +5, and then we're going to do the -5. So with the -5, it's the same thing, but again, it's taking away the 5 but adding, and that would be one thing to just to slowly go through. I wouldn't rush it, not because I want your money. I wouldn't rush it because I don't want him to get confused and overwhelmed. I have one student that came in and he was just so overwhelmed. He knows how to add, the tens, like the number bonds, right? The number blocks. Like he watches it all the time. But when we start going into a little bit more complicated math questions like this, he kind of breaks down because he doesn't know the formulas. So that is why I'm taking it a little slow, because I want to make sure that they understand the formulas. Then when they get into more bigger numbers, they'll understand it better. So, and this is just one of those things, like, um, this is just one of those things to start them slow and just to keep them understanding that when they move the beads, this is the number pattern. If I have a 3, I want to add the 4, I know when I add the 4 and there's not enough beads, I use the number pattern plus the 5 minus the 1, and they'll see that. But the idea is that they need to go through the questions to keep practicing that this is what I'm looking for when I want to add the 4. And it'll become more innate. It will become more into their long-term memory to understand that, oh, when I want to add, like, say, 290, 292, and instead of like being, oh my God, the number is really big, we just take it down. Okay, 292, and I want to add 4. All I need to do is plus the 5 minus the 1. So that was the reason why, because when the questions get bigger, the kid starts to break down because it's not what they're used to. So when they start knowing the fundamentals, which is this, right? This is the fundamentals, they will be able to be solid into it. So it doesn't matter how big the number is. It just matters like how they work, and there's going to be more two steps. So the it starts. So notice in the two step, right? We had the plus the 10 and then minus the 5. There's another one where we do like 49 plus 3. So just so you know, um, so the question is 49 plus 3. This is another two step. And again, this is going to be another book. Um, 49 plus 3, right? So we have our question 49 plus 3. Now, why is this another two step? Well, we have our 4, we have our 9. Do we have enough beads to add the 3? No, we don't. So the question is can I add a 5? No, I can't add a 5. Well, now the question is, can I add a 10? No, I can't add a 10. But if you notice, 1 10 is kind of the same, right? Because that's what we're doing. We're adding the 1. When we add the 1, what is another way to add the 1? Add the 1 is plus the 5 minus 4. So this is the other two step, depending on what we're doing with the numbers. And this will be a different book because now we're talking about a two step on this side. So we're going to add the 5 minus the 4, and then we take away the 7. So my answer is 52. So we have to be careful not to rush into the numbers because there's a lot of two steps in numbers that we don't go through until they get there. So that's why you don't see the number, like the double numbers, the double digits, like 49. 49 plus 3 is a little bit loaded. That's the two step. Does that make sense? So that's why the questions are very specific, and I'd be careful before before going, I mean, unless he really understands how to do the +5 and -5, it's another way to see it in a different fashion, right? So that's why when we do the +5, we can do it here as well. Plus the 5 minus the 4. So that's another two-step. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot more to it. We all learn how to do once we know this is, but again, this is the fundamental. Once they understands the fundamental, it'll be easy to translate to the next two step. And then there's another two step or three step, right? Which is uh 99, right? 99 plus 1. So we have, so again, but again, it goes into, this is a carryover. It's so different in abacus versus a carryover. Not necessarily different, actually. It's how we work it. So we have 99 plus 1. In carryover, right? We have 1 plus 9 is equal to 1, and then we have the 1, right? And then we do 10, and then we have the carryover. It's still the same in abacus, but we see it. It's just now because we know the formulas, we just carry it over. Does that make sense? So when we do the plus 10, that's kind of like our carrying over in the abacus. So we have 99, so I do 99 plus 1. The only reason why it looks complicated is because the formulas, because you have to really embrace the formulas. So when we look at it, we have 99. Exactly what we did here, plus the 10, right? We add the 10 and then we bring it down. So when we do the 1, see, that's the other thing is in abacus, we talk about the second add in. How do we do it? Not figure out what the result is. So it's a different way of looking at things. We don't look at the result, we look at the process. So here is 99. We have 99. We want to add the 1. Now we have to ask questions. How do I add 1? Is there enough? No, there's not enough to add the 1. So what do we do? To plus the 1, we know we need to plus the 10 minus the 9. So when we carry over, right? We want to plus the 10 minus the 9. We want to plus the 10 minus the 9. Again, we can't do it. So we have to carry over again, plus the 10 minus the 9. So notice we plus the 10 minus the 9, just like what we did here. Plus the 10 minus the 9. So my answer is 100. So it's not different from carrying over because this is another two step. So if we cannot add the 1, we have to add plus the 1 is equal to plus the 10 minus 9. Why is this? I'm trying to think now. I'm just trying to think on my feet. Like the reason why we do the formulas, right? This concept of 10, we just want to go to the next column. And we break it down, and that's why we make it simple. We simplify it, but we just have to keep track of everything. So, so that's why when we do 99, we got to track. We take away the 9, we add the 10. We don't have enough beats to plus the 10. Well, we know that plus 1, right, is also plus the 10 minus the 9. So we plus the 10 and we minus the 9. It's kind of like a carryover. Yeah, I see how it's different. But when this becomes more solid, when the family in other abacus classes they call it big friends. In my class we call it family. When you really so solidly understand the plus 10, then this will be easier. So do you have to I'm sorry. So do you have to go to each column to say, do we have enough? It helps to see you do the problem. Yes. Yes. I really rely on, do we have enough and how do we get there? So that was one question. I guess it's hard to do it in a workbook, right? But that's the question. It's exactly how it is. Do we have enough and how do we get there? Those are the two questions that we need. Do we have enough? How do we get there? So that's why we do a process of elimination. So it's very systematic and there's a little checklist that we have, right? So the question is let's let me do another question. um but this again, this concept, the 99, that's going to be another book, right? That will be another phase because it's another way of looking things. But if he's solid with this, right? If he's solid with understanding how to manipulate the formulas, the only two formulas he need to ever know would be the +5 and the -5 and the +10s. If you really boil it down, it's just how do you manipulate these two to put in all sorts of places? How do we use our building blocks? So that's why it really solidifies it really solidifies the building blocks. So again, the question is is there enough beads and how do we get there? That's what I would say. Do we have enough and how do we get there? So the question would be like 8 plus, I don't know, 8 plus 7, right? So do I have enough beads to plus the 7? I should put the question down. 8 plus 7. So 8 plus 7. Do we have enough? No. So what do? We know that plus the 7 is plus the 10 minus the 3. So we plus the 10. Can I take away the 3? Notice this 3 is a simple 3. Haha, right? I can take away the 3. Notice I could take away the 3. All right. So here's the next one. 7 plus 7. When I'm trying to explain this and make it more mainstream, this is not complicated if you see it for what it is. So we had 8 plus 7, right? Is plus the 10 minus 3. Notice this 3 is a simple. So we have 8 plus the 10 minus the 3. Okay. So now, right? Now, okay, so the answer is 15. Okay. Simple, right? We know that we can take away the 3. Now we have 7 plus 7. Okay, we know 7 plus 7. So we have 7, right? We add another 7. Okay, we know we have plus the 10 minus 3. Plus the 10, take away the 3. Ha! Take away the 3. Can I take away the 3? There's not enough beads. Is there another way to take away 3? Yes. This is where it's still the plus 5. So when I want to minus the 3, all I have to do is minus the 5 plus the 2. Minus the 5 plus the 2. And my answer is 14. We don't learn our doubles, the two sets of equations. And if you learn the two sets of equations, you'll be able to do everything. It's just how do you fit it all in? So I will take things slow and I will take things and not underestimate the importance. Yes, yes. Thank you. Please don't underestimate because it's so interesting. Like okay, we had the 9, we had this 10, right? The 10 is the same as a 1. So there's ways, right? We do let's do 100 minus 2. Let's change it up a little bit. Minus 2. How do we take away the 2? Take away the 2 is minus the 10, right? Plus the 8. So I'd minus the 10. Oh, no, no. I'm over here, though. See, now we talk about place value, and that's where it comes into play. So I want to take away the 2 over here. But to take away the 2, I have to take away the 10. First, let me add the 8, right? Let me add the 8 because this is our 10 formula. Now I want to take away the 10. I don't have enough beats to take away the 10. What is another way? We know that when we want to take away the 1, which is the same as 10, right? We can take away the 10 again and plus the 9. See, this formula is a plus 10 formula, but it just depends on how you use it. So I'm going to take away the 10 and plus the 9. So my answer is 98. Yeah, I mean it's so fascinating. So it really we give you the building blocks. We give you the building blocks of like all of the like Abacus gives you the building blocks. Now it's how do you fit it in? It's like a little puzzle. So when we look at questions and I really love puzzles, but that's why when we look at questions it's like what how do we do it and how does it fit, right? Okay. So it's 4 minutes till. Do you have any other questions? Before we sign off. But thank you so much for asking questions and going through. But I did really want to go into adding, adding, and subtracting on the abacus because I think I think in school, they're not. There's no. I mean, there's a lot of like how to make a 10. So one of the questions was 204 plus I don't know, 78, right? So one of the questions was, how do you make a 10? Well, we can make this as 80. So we have two we added. So what we're going to do is we're going to add it to this to make it easier. So that'd be 260. So when we add it together, it'd be 286. You could do that, or we could understand how do we do it on the abacus. So on the abacus, we have 204, right? We add our 7, and then we add our 8. To add the 8, we do plus the 10 minus the 2. And then we have our answer 280. Add the 2. Wait, add the 2. Sorry, I had a little brain fart. Add the 2. So, because we're adding the 8, right? So we had 4 plus 8 plus the 10 minus the 2. Minus the 2 is plus the 5, or plus the 2 is plus the 5 minus the 3. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, in school, we're teaching children how to make a 10 to make the numbers easier. Or in Abacus, what you do is learn the fundamentals of the plus fives and the minus fives, plus tens and the minus tens, and just, you know, those are our what are elements of math. All of this is just elements of math. So I hope that makes sense. Do you have any other questions, Alyssa? I'm so glad. Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm so, here's so much. I can go back and watch this video. Yes, yes, this will be on replay, and I will have it. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna edit it, right, and make it as a podcast as well. But thank you so much for the questions, and I do appreciate that you're part of my. You're a part of it. Yes, I will be able. Yes, you'll be able to see the replay right now once I end the stream. It will be there. It is available. It is available. But yeah, if you have any more questions, let me know. I am available. If you're looking for like live tutoring, it's once a week for 30 minutes, but I talk to your child. So it's up to you. And I do, and right now as we speak, it's going for 200 a month. It's a monthly thing. Or you can go through you can go through the videos that I have, and I walk through all of the worksheets. And again, I haven't set up the sales page for buying the whole book set. I just haven't gotten around to it. I'm so sorry. Um, but it is available. And then all of the videos have the worksheets. So you do have that available to you. But I do understand that the book form is better just because it's, all together. Um, but I do apologize that I haven't gotten around to getting the sales page. I'm still trying to build everything as much as I can and still market everything. I'm still just a one person one person. When will you have the next book? The plus five, I'm actually working on I'm sorry, the minus five. I'm going to work on that right now since I know there are a few people that are commenting that they're looking for the minus five. You do have, but again, you do have the minus five worksheets already there for you. And I've already uploaded the worksheets for the plus 10, and I've already uploaded half of the plus 10 videos. So the videos for minus five is there with the worksheets. The book themselves, coming from Amazon, is not just done yet. I will work on that to get it out the door. It is available. It is available. These books right now are available. I will work on the minus fives. But you do have the worksheets. You do have the worksheets available, just so you know. It's all printed out in the individual videos. So thank you again for joining me, and thank you so much for all the questions. This was fantastic. Um, it has been amazing. Thank you for this once. Yes, you know what? And I'm trying to be more accessible, even though, and I'm trying to be more accessible. And if you have any more questions, let me know. I am here, but I think it's just easier if you have the questions, I can talk to you about it. So yeah, and instead of like writing through the email, but I understand too. But I will have it again next week. I was kind of, yeah, I will have my office hour will be Wednesdays at 9 o'clock Pacific time, and I'm trying to be more available. But thank you again for all of your questions. I do appreciate it. But yeah, yes, fantastic. Thank you so much. I will sign off. It's already been 2 minutes over. I don't want to take up more of your time. But again, if you have any questions, let me know. I will be on again next week. I'll see you I'll see you next week. Bye.